Somewhere in the course of many divorce and paternity cases, someone may come along and say, you know what you need is a custody evaluation. And it could sort of sound like, well, maybe that would be good. I guess need to be evaluated. We need to get to the truth. And the person doing is probably a psychologist. That's probably a healer. I want to give you 6 reasons to be very, very careful about using a custody evaluation. If you have a true danger in your family, somebody is out of control, that is active drug or alcohol abuse, there's domestic violence, there's somebody who really needs to be contained by the court, maybe, but probably in 95% of the cases there is no call for a custody evaluation, and a lot of reason to believe that that custody evaluation will do a lot of harm. Here are 6 reasons I think you should be careful about thinking a custody evaluation is right for you. Reason number 1, custody evaluations are financially expensive. They cost a lot of money. Not only that, by the way, one custody evaluation can lead to a second one, a third one, because people want to respond and they want to find some way to rebut what the first person had to say. It's not probably the greatest expense. In a minute, I'm going to talk to you about all the damage that they can do to relationships, but they cost tens of thousands of dollars once you start stacking them on top of each other. Wealthier is healthier in almost any setting. You have other places for your money. Be careful about thinking that 5, 10, 15, 30, 50,000 hours spent on custody evaluations is going to help your family. Number 2, in addition to the problems that custody evaluations create that I'm going to mention in a minute, I want to say that they don't create anything that's helpful. Very often they are all that they can help you do, and their only purpose is to help a judge make a decision. What have you already learned from the website and thinking about your situation? Does a judge's decision really equate with a solution? A judge can say, okay, the kids will be with their angry and resentful dad on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and their angry and resentful mother on the other days. That's not much of a solution. The way that Shelley Finman, an attorney in Florida, puts it is that a judge's decision in a family case is the starter's pistol to the family's odyssey of conflict. In other words, getting a judge's decision doesn't make anything better. It doesn't bring about any solutions. Only the parents can do that. So look at how little prospect there is that your custody evaluation, as expensive it is really going to give anything a benefit. All it does is help a judge make a decision, and that decision is going to be, in all likelihood, of no use to you or your family. Reason number 3 to be careful about custody evaluations. There's no showing that they have any accuracy. Dr. Joan Kelly and Dr. Janet Johnston have an article that we quote on the website where they point out that in general, in law and psychology, there's no basis for choosing between 2 good enough parents. In other words, the parents may be hurt, they may be angry, they may be resentful, they may be depressed, of course, because they're going through this difficult time called divorce, but they're both safe to be with the children. They love the children, they're capable of caring for them. There is no basis in law or psychology for choosing between 2 good enough parents. And any pretense that if we spend thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars in evaluating parents that that's going to get it closer to a better decision, it's false. You need to make that decision and come to a place that you can support the children's good relationship with both of you. Reason number 4 to be careful. There can be many questions about objectivity, especially when one side or the other, and I hate to talk about parents as sides because we think you should be a team together, but one parent or the other is paying for the custody evaluation. There's every reason to believe that there's going to be slanting on the part of the custody evaluator. I've had judges say they listen to these psychologists testify, but they say, you know what, I don't believe a word that they're saying because almost always, almost 100% of the time, the decision that they recommend comes out to be in favor of the person who is paying them, or they come out and being in favor of the psychologist who is getting the most business from this particular attorney. There's every reason to believe psychologists are people like everybody else, and they have, a mix of emotions, good and bad, and objective and then self-interested. Be careful about thinking that you're going to get objectivity in a custody evaluation. Reason number 5 is probably more important than all the other 4 that I've already talked about, and that is that these can do tons of damage. These are not like Up to Parents, which is, how can we learn to be partners? How can we get a better understanding of what our challenge actually is? These are about people criticizing each other. Very few people are going to go to a custody evaluation and list 10 good things about their other parent. The game is, even if we don't go into it with that intent, that's what we're going to be lured into because it's part of a competition. It's a trial in itself. Everything that you can say in criticism of unnecessary trials, you can say about unnecessary custody evaluations. They turn people against each other. They cause people to enlarge the bad in each other or the deficits in each other and to ignore the good in them. On top of that, another great harm that comes from this is that children are ensnared in them. They're going to be interviewed. Look at what that does to kids. All of a sudden, they are saddled with a sense of responsibility to solve this. Why am I being interviewed? And if afterwards the parents are still angry, they still don't have their differences resolved, who do the kids blame? They almost universally blame themselves. I said the wrong thing. I didn't say this right. I didn't do this right. Now mom and dad are angry. Kids already blame themselves. A custody evaluation is almost the perfect way to make sure that kids have a permanent sense that they're the ones responsible for this family problem. And finally, reason number 6 to be careful about custody evaluations is that they displace better alternatives. People are not going to these psychologists, by the way, for anything therapeutic or helpful. Be careful. Some people think, well, it's a counselor or it's a psychologist and therefore this person will be helping us. That is not their job. And the first thing that they will tell you if they're being honest is, I am not here to help your family work better. I'm here to get a decision. Whether or not that helps your family, I don't know. If they're being honest, they will tell you, I have no way of telling you that that decision or my recommendation about it is going to make your family better. But look at all the things then we're overlooking. There are resources like Up to Parents. There's counseling that you can use. There are support groups that you can use. There's conversation yourself that you can use. And of course, there's a focus on your children, the focus on the children, your best guiding light out of all of this. That can all be lost and it can all be obscured in the middle of spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to be examined, to turn you guys against yourselves, and then to have to read these awful things you said about each other, these awful things that the psychologist then and his or her tests say about you. Be careful, because you are losing, in all likelihood, better alternatives by pouring your resources into a custody evaluation. Those are 6 reasons I hope that you will be very careful about custody evaluations. I don't have any stake one way or another about this. We try to be as objective as we can. We have an article to professionals about the overuse and misuse of custody evaluations, and we cite in there psychologist after psychologist after psychologist who says we are overusing these, they are not objective, they're not valid, and they're not helping families. This whole process should be about helping your family to move through a very, very difficult time and get to a place that's better for kids, for families, for all the relationships in families, and of course for you as well. I hope that you'll keep these things in mind when you think about what the resources you're going to use as you work your way through this very difficult time.